multiple different choices of places to help. Belgear's up here sieging. We're down there assaulting Pencannock. Looks like they're going to be able to take that. And we're going to help continue to retake the land here as a buffer for the time warp. So welcome back again to another episode of Tactical Enlightenment. We'll just start an episode here since there's clearly going to be battle. Our channel is dedicated to all things Bannerlord related, especially Advanced Battlefield Command and Tactics. You got Mr. Caladog hanging out in Dunglanis here. And we got a Western Empire force. We're still at war with the Western Empire and Britannia, and it's been that way for a while. Oh, we got a problem here, Belgear. Send the pigeon, send the crows in a hurry. You're about to be attacked. We got to get over there. We got to try to help here. We got our Vlandian noble over here sieging, and Baron York with his superior scouts. Of course, Baron York is renowned for his intelligence services. Like any great leader, he relies on scouts to give him information about the enemy here. Now we're going to dump some gear here. I've got all this food, and you know what? We got to dump some cows here. Bros before cows. We're just going to let them loose because we've got to get over there in a hurry. We're going through the thick Botanian forest here. It's trudgingly slow right now, and there's like a mist or a rain or something like that. This Western Empire force disappeared, but it sure looked like there they are. They are going to attack there. So we got ourselves a little battle here to start today's episode. 1300, 800. This should be just right. We should be able to get there, although it's painfully slow, trudging through this fucking Botanian forest. And of course, this is the Botanian advantage. Now, these are not the Botanians, but they move a lot faster in the forest, and we don't. Damn, they're getting battered. Yeah, they just got a little bump from the StrengthenAI mod, but so did the other army. Our army's pretty good, but we do have, we've had these low-level troops at the bottom here for a while, and of course a lot of those won't upgrade. Your militia and spearmen and stuff like that don't upgrade, no matter how much they fight. This is starting to look tenuous. 600. I mean, I guess we're not too badly outnumbered. We're outnumbered by about 40% here. The problem, though, is that you're fighting with the AI, and it's always a challenge to fight with the AI, and I'm actually stoked that this is happening. Guys want to see, how the hell do I help my dipshit AI nobles in battles early in a campaign, and so you're getting a taste of it here. Now, of course, the series that's on Patreon, the 8, 9, 10 episodes, I'm not sure how many they're going to be. There's going to be a lot of battles like that, and where we have a lot less troops. This is a much larger battle. As we try to help here. Shit. We got ourselves a thunderstorm here. So there's an epic scene to start. Of course, we have to very quickly divide our archer groups. 4th, 5th, and 6th will be crossbows. I will try to say crossbows. Probably by episode 20 of this series, I'll be saying crossbow divisions. We've got 2 cav divisions. I've got a small amount of infantry, and the enemy's got just a lot of everything. It's hard to see. There's thunder and lightning. Of course, our allies just barreling towards them. It's a pretty epic scene, though. This is going to be good cinema for you guys out there watching. Hopefully, we can do some tactics here. We're going to aim for this left or right flank, rather, because it's elevated, right? Anytime you're in a battle like this, you want elevation. You're going to start to spread out units here. It's sort of sloppy. I'm just sort of getting guys up here in position, try to push their cavalry back, and we will try to overload the right front. These are horse archers pushing in. Sort of weak Western Empire horse archers. These are always a priority kill while the rest of our units move up. And let's see what we got going on here. Now, anytime you're the attacker like this, technically, the enemy can put up a defensive front. That's why we're having to move in here. It's sort of a wonky battle, right? They were attacking, the Western Empire was attacking our forces, and yet we're still forced to move up here. Now, they got cavalry on the high hill, but the rest of their forces are giving up the ridge, which is, it's not terrific. In fact, they're forming a death ball. They're forming the circle defense, the defeat formation, as I like to call it here. So we're happy about that. The only problem here, though, is that our allied force here is probably the worst configuration to assault it. It's like 70% cavalry, so they're boring in, and that's not going to go well, right? This is probably the one time that a circle defense will work well. Just deck that guy off his horse. Is against lots of cavalry, right? And we don't have a lot of archers either. I think we have 50 or 60. That's why the death spam looks like that, right? Those guys are charging entrenched infantry with archers behind them. So we've got a bit of a problem in this battle here. We've got a bunch of cavalry too. And it's a scrum down there. That just looks like a rugby game with death as the aftermath. And we'll try to help as we can here, right? We'll spear some flag bearers. But I don't feel like I can do a lot early on here. Our troops are not that strong, and so we don't have a lot of units, right? It bases it on strengths of units early in a battle like this where you're fighting with a vassal. If you don't have high-level troops, you don't get very many. And I guess we do have about 150, 200 troops. But it would have been nice if we got the full whack at the beginning of this. Oh, shit! A group has appeared on the horizon. I can't read it while I'm spearing, guys. And it seems they're joining the enemy forces. You know what? I completely forgot, and I've done this a couple times because I'm not used to using it. We have the reinforcement mod running. So not only... 14... Is that them there? I see forces pouring in up the top of the hill there. Those must be reinforcements. So we have the reinforcement mod going. I totally forgot about that. If you don't know what that is, basically it allows other armies that are nearby this battle to join. And so the enemy, who already outnumbered us, is now getting even more troops. To say that is bad is elementary. They still have a just thick press of men down here in this ball. And actually for cavalry, that's one of your best defenses. Just tighten up in a ball. The enemy cavalry can't move very well through you. Of course, the horses moving slow do less damage, easier to kill, shoot. And I've got my spidey senses of 1,000 battles here are fired up, and they say defeat. I'm not liking what I'm seeing here. Now, you can hold this ridge over here, but they have reinforcements. I'm pretty sure these are reinforcements popping up on the hill, boring in on our flanks. So we got to be a little bit more intelligent in this battle here. We're going to have to do some dynamic tactics. I'm going to start to hold this ridge here. There is a bit of a peekaboo ridge, but we're also sort of leaving our ally to his fate there on that central ring. That is, by the way, just a viable, it should be a standard process, right? Fortunately, the AI does not take offense if you just leave them to their fate. And nobles in real life would be enraged, right? You would be disennobled or whatever. At least your reputation would fade if there's a big brawl. Even if the AI was acting stupid, you'd be forced to join. Fortunately, that's the case here. We don't have to join that stupid ruckus. It does look like it... Oh, shit, they broke out into different formations. I was going to say, it does look like the ball, the enemy circle was destroyed, but instead they've just changed formations. And it's a better formation. They now have archers on the ridge with a double-wide infantry line formed and spread. Damn. Now we do have some reinforcements coming in. Unfortunately, they come in the 2nd Division and mixed with cavalry, but we'll take it, right? Guys, at this stage, we'll take as many troops as the AI is willing to give us. Let's split them in these divisions. 4th, 5th, and 6th. Again, we're running with these 3 crossbow divisions. There, I said a crossbow. And we're doing that primarily so that we can get multiple angles on the enemy, so that we can kite. It's been highly successful for me in many different campaigns and situations. The guys out there still running 1 archer division, please come by the channel and allow me to help you to use more than a couple archer divisions effectively. The power of 3-4 divisions with ranged units is immense in Bannerlord. And hopefully we can demonstrate that here. This looks like a mess, though. There's a huge amount of enemy forces. It says 500 infantry and 300 archers, and I see peasants of ours running up. Now, fortunately, the enemy has fairly weak troops, too. In fact, those are straight-out recruits coming into the battlefield, so that's a good sign. Our companions are racking up kills, right? Our companions have ranged weapons almost to a man, right? We have very few non-ranged units in our army, and so they're back here exchanging bolts. This infantry is protected by that ridge. I mentioned that at the beginning, and so at least we do have a good position. And even though the AI is just suiciding here, they're distracting the enemy, right? They're taking one for the team, right? We're making them take one for the team here. Now, what we can do is we can blitz in on the enemy and flank them here. We've got a cav division. We could start moving archers up to the wall and to the enemy's left side over here. It's our right. The way I'm looking at it right now, it looks like our left. There's more troops of the enemies. I see in little units just pouring in here. Who the fuck are you guys? Where'd you guys come from? Oh, they're peasants. You know what's going on? I didn't see it, but little peasant bands of caravans and merchants and shit are joining the battle with the reinforcement system. We saw this before, and here we see it again. So we have true chaos in this battle. You could picture this huge fight going on, and all of a sudden there's peasants coming up with their little baskets on their head and shit like that, and they got pitchforks and rocks, and they're like, the Lord's under attack, let's help. And on one hand, it's amazing, you know, for the dynamism and the chaos of it. And on the other hand, as a commander, it's brutal, right? This is just carnage. I got troops everywhere. I don't see anybody joining us, right? There's nothing that said so-and-so joined you. And even though we have had help in the past, it doesn't seem like there's any help coming this battle. I mean, it was just this one Vlandian army when we joined, so we'll see. We do have a beautiful flanking position on the enemy. I've got a line of infantry here, but there's no shield, so we're going to have to keep those guys back. In fact, I'll probably keep them married to that crossbow division. And fortunately, the enemy is in this big, giant zombie apocalypse mass, right? No tactics to speak of. The only thing you can say they're doing well. A group of enemies appears on the horizon. More enemy forces pouring in here. So we might be cooked. There's fucking peasants charging us, throwing rocks and shit. Motherfuckers. Back up, boys. Let's do a little kiting over here. This is where those other archer divisions pay off, right? Those guys across the valley. My lord, the banner of Serratos. Our enemy is bolstering their forces. It would be hard for us to be more assailed here. I don't know how many different forces have joined this battle, but we're going to try to fight them all. Fuck you. Baron York adapts and overcomes, right? This guy here. Of course, we are sort of role-playing that he's a bit of a bull, a bit of a rock, right? He's kind of like Ulysses S. Grant in the final battles of the U.S. Civil War, where a lot of people just said he was a stupid bull with his head down, just charging forward, killing his own troops to try to kill the enemy just in a total suicide wave. More enemies are approaching. This is amazing. Well, you keep bringing them forward here. We'll fucking kill all you bitches. But Baron York here, of course, I'm playing behind Baron York. So if I were just to F1, F3 here, we'd be cooked. We're gonna use tactics, and you guys need to understand the dynamic basically is this. We're role-playing that Baron York is a bit of a bull, and that may play into some battles, right, where we might even role-play that at some point in the campaign. But of course, you guys don't need to watch me do F1, F3. There's no benefit to your tactical experience. There's a lot of interest to the battle if you just F1, F3, something like this, right? So we're going to continue to try to do tactics. Now, I've swiveled our forces hard over here to this left side, our right side, because they have a really nice angle. The enemy can't attack them coming down that ridge until they're right on them. And we're starting to get a little concentrated line here to charge, right? So it's time to start getting a little more aggressive, although our forces are also kind of melting here, understandably, under this kind of assault. The power bar says we got a shot, so let's keep fighting here, right? I mean, we're definitely doing major work here. We're killing a lot, but I don't know. The thing with the reinforcement system, and I like this element, is you have no idea how many enemy forces you have to kill right before the battle. Of course, you do after the reinforcement system. It doesn't tell you, 109 guys came in, 122 guys came in. And if I get time during this campaign, and I probably will, I want to talk about some of the things I'd like to see in Bannerlord. Some of the changes I would love to see, small changes even, and I think they'd be important changes that would really add to the mystique and interest of the game. I'm not going to do it right now, of course. We're fighting for our life here, trying to hold back this line. But that is one of them, just a preview. There should be a little bit more of the unknown with Bannerlord, and right now that's what we have here. All I see is just forces pouring up and more forces joining, and we're in another incredibly tight battle in this campaign. It's incredible how many tight battles we've had. Combination of tactics and luck here, a little fortuitousness, getting fucking clubbed, and we're in an absolute brawl to the death here. We've got like 40 troops, maybe 50 troops at most. Push some of those guys back. These are routing troops. Anytime there's routing troops and your troops are chasing them, pull them back, right? You don't want them turning their back to the enemy and chasing guys that are going to leave when, of course, there's guys killing the rest of your troops here. Now, what do they got here? They got a line of archers. It's starting to look manageable, like we can win this battle. Is that all they have? It's like 50 guys and we've got like 30. Our guys are repositioning, of course. We're not running here. I'm just doing that to gain a little bit of distance. What the fuck? More forces are joining the enemy here. Well, you keep bringing them. Baron York will kill them all, right? This guy, just like the women in his entourage, right? He'll fuck them all. He'd kill all these women, too. This guy fights and fucks. He doesn't give a fuck. And, you know, his skill set is starting to turn pretty lethal. He is highly defensible with his shield. He's, you know, of solid ability with his sword, and he's lethal with his spear, right? And of course, me as the player, I'm starting to get comfortable with it. I'm pretty comfortable with the sword and shield. Oh shit! What the fuck? Just a huge force just rolled over the horizon here. Okay, we're fucking dead. What can we do here? Yeah, we have 18 guys. Okay, so we lose, and it's another example where this reinforcement system. I was saying it before, part of me loves this, right? This is a battle we think you're going to win. It's just like real life, where you have forces on the battlefield and then more forces appear later on, right? This is one of those situations where a battlefield commander simply gets blindsided by the unknown. There's very little of that in Bannerlord, and this reinforcement system certainly does a good job of that. However, okay, I've noticed this before. I don't know if this is because of the dynamics of the battle, but the enemy far outnumbers us, and they're not attacking. And unfortunately, we're probably just going to leave. If they're not going to attack us, I'm not going to attack with 15 guys against the whole army. Our guys are wounded, they're out of ammo, a lot of them look raggedy. And so this is a situation you just leave. But I love the dynamism of this mod. I just don't know. You guys can leave your opinion in the comments for this, right? This was a really interesting battle. However, it kind of ends anticlimactically. This is like having a menage a trois, and halfway through, 3 more guys come in and take their women back, and you're like, wait a minute. Genolf of a caravan did join the battle. So look at some of my companions are still alive left, and that speaks again to our strategy of using them at range. But we're going to have to leave here. I can't charge that. It doesn't. I thought they might be reforming, but look at that. Their cavalry's turning around. And this, I think, is one of the dynamics that's challenging to code for the people who made this mod. We essentially attacked the Western Empire, but they were attacking our forces. So the good thing is I think we might be able to get out of here and not get captured. They're sort of occupied, right? They're still assaulting what's left of the Vlandians that were sieging there. And Baron York, he's one of those guys who tells you he has honor, and then when the going gets tough, Baron York gets to scurrying off into the woods here. We're gonna escape, I think. Their forces are kind of coming after us after they captured those Vlandians. And of course, in real life, if that happened, there's a bunch of Vlandians fighting to the death and you just took off, there would be repercussions. But alas, no concerns here. So we escape, and the reinforcement system is really interesting, really dynamic. It's something I'd like to see changed with Bannerlord is that element of the unknown. One of the things, and I'll mention this real quick here before we have another battle, although I really need to rest up. I wish that when you looked at an allied army or an enemy army, even if you had high-end scouting skill, it just kind of said question marks, or it said something like, instead of telling you it has 592 battalions, I wish it said there's a large force of battalions. And if you had really good scouting skill, maybe it said 500 to 600, or 500 to 700. It gave you an idea, because it's not like we're Raymond here from the Rain Man. If you're not familiar with that, this was an autistic guy who could count fucking anything instantly, right? You would never have that information in real life. And I think it would be nice if there was more obscurism to Bannerlord. So you had to make decisions that were a little bit less clear. And Bannerlord is very clear oftentimes. Oh, okay, they've got 1,900 troops exactly. We've got 355. Look at this shit, dude. These Aserai in this campaign are going ballistic. So we're out of here. We're going to look for the next battle. But just to finish that point, if there is a developer listening, and I know that seems unlikely, but I have been contacted by some of the developers, or a developer, or people who work for the developers of Tale Worlds, because the channel has gotten to the size where I guess we're starting to matter. We're a little guy still, but we're starting to matter. And they do clearly listen to feedback, right? They want to make their game better. So if you guys are listening, if there's a developer listening or somebody else from Tale Worlds, think about adding something like that, right? The scouting skill would be a lot more interesting if it was really important, right? And instead of just seeing a sizable force of Western Empire forces there, it said, you know, 150 to 200 instead. I think that would be a lot more interesting. Still trying to, you know, we're trying to get to the time warp, but I want a little bit more of a buffer. The Western Empire here, in fact, we've been sieged recently at Rovalt. So a little bit of a buffer here. Fortunately, the Vlandians are gaining a head of steam. However, you guys are in trouble here. What the fuck have you guys gotten yourself into? We have a Vlandian army that is heading towards the east to siege, right, and gain us a little buffer so that we can enter our time warp here. We're sieging, or no, we're being sieged at Druamore. But kind of like an hour ago where we rescued that Vlandian force, or at least tried to rescue, and we might have another rescue situation here. They're clearly being chased, and now they're fighting. So let's investigate here. This is the part of the scout, and I was mentioning this like an hour ago. The scouting system is interesting, but it could be way more interesting. Right here. Oh, fuck. Okay. So we're at war with Britannia and the Western Empire. And there you have it. He is being ambushed. But again, I wish it didn't say 900 and 1300 or whatever that said. I wish it just said a very large force of Battanians, a very large force of Western Empire, and you had to make a calculated decision. Here, the decision should be to run, but we've been playing this campaign with our hair on fire. I know what you guys want us to do, right? You guys don't want to see us turn back here on our allies. You guys want to see us engage in incredibly difficult battles. We still have a lot of scrubs in the army. I keep having to recruit Vlandian recruits. We've got a couple Boer units that are low level here. Fortunately, we can do some upgrades. We've got some prisoners to recruit, and I think, you know, I think this is one of those situations where it's a game. You guys want to be entertained. I want to have fun. We're going to be badly outnumbered here, and just like that battle about an hour ago, we're going to be severely outnumbered. So it's another one of those situations where maybe we bail in the battle, or maybe we get captured, or maybe we save the day, right? And that's, to me, that's the kind of content that I want to provide for you guys. I look down, we are recording, so I will narrate with a little bit more pizzazz. And it's powerful forces, and our force has cavalry. But let's give this a shot right here, right? These are the kind of battles that I salivate for. We're outnumbered 2-1, actually a little worse than 2-1 here. But we've got a solid army. We're being attacked by Super Mario Brothers here. Look at this guy, the Felanos with his bowl haircut and a gigantic curly mustache. Let's see if we can't pound the shit out of Super Mario Brother and company here. And fuck, they're doing it again. And I can't wait to become our own kingdom. And I will tell you guys that that's going to take a little while. It happened in the Aserai campaign. It took a while to become a kingdom. I have a plan for that in this campaign as I divide our units here again. Bear with me. But it's not happening yet, and unfortunately this is one of the consequences. You're forced to divide your units like this pre-battle. Fortunately, at least we have that option, right? So I can use my 8 divisions. Now, what do we got going on here? Our forces, again, are moving in aggressively, even though we should be playing more defensive and making them come to us. Let's set up a right wing here with Pike Division, Cavalry, and Archers, and let's hold the front here with Infantry, the Shock Troops. Our 2nd division is big, right? This is a cav division. We're going to push this left flank here. See what we got going on here, though. It looks like the enemy's charging us, so it's a gigantic battle where both sides are charging. They are charging, and it's a huge zerg of them. They got archers? They got archers mixed right with their infantry. Bad decision. Let's clamp these guys. I just sent the 2nd division to the far side. 8th division to the far side. Let's push the 2nd through here. Get up here, infantry. We need you for this pinch. I'm going to shove our cavalry through this wave of enemy cavalry because I don't care about them right now. I mean, I will have to deal with them, but let's pull them in. The 8th Corps is from the other side here. The 1st and 3rd Division infantry divisions are ready here on the side of this rock, and the enemy just ran right into the maw of death. In the 1st and 3rd come, let's pull this cavalry division in behind him, and let's fucking brawl, boys. Yeah, you guys are fucking trapped. In come our cavalry. They're fucking cut off from behind. The 8th Division comes in. And all these archers are going to be annihilated. They've got good archers. I mean, I don't know if all of them, but we're going to be able to provide a beating on them. I think they were trying to get line of sight over that ridge. And the death spam doesn't look great, but that's about as much as we can do there. Both divisions are charging. We have crossbow that I set over here. We can get these guys moved up. And then we have this 7th Division, which is probably full of pikes, but they can charge too. This is just one of those situations where you don't back off, right? There's so much carnage, your allies charging, you just got to get in here and fight like a man. Where's this Lord? I got a javelin for you, fucker. Kill this fucking Lord. Damn it. Too much chaos. All right, we gotta be on archer detail here. There's infantry running all over the place. It is beautiful chaos. These archers are our target though. Let's bring these cavalry. We can have our crossbow division on top of that ridge shooting down at them. It's gonna take them a minute to get there. So in the short term, let's occupy these guys with cavalry, right? Let's just drag them around behind us and try to butcher all these guys as they get space. Man, I haven't been able to take a breath here. This is what happens when they chuck you right into battle. But look at that death spam, right? All of a sudden, that looked ugly for us, and just like that, we have turned this battle in our favor. They still have a huge amount of forces in here fighting. Where the fuck are the rest of them? I hear them getting killed. Their archers are sneaking out again. I don't think so, boys. We got our eyes trained on you. Not only that, they're running in the direction of our 4th Corps. I sent a crossbow division, ostensibly our best division, to the top of that ridge. So they're going to be retreating right up into a crossbow fire. Let's see how this shit looks. This is going to be sick. There's that Lord. Kill this fucker. Apis. This is one of the army leaders. Fucker. He's regrouping with reinforcements. The death spam looks great, though, as we annihilate this first wave. I bet these guys are part of it, this 4th Corps, just firing down into the enemy ranks. All right, and you pulled these back, right? This is a situation here. The enemy's regrouping. We got to regroup. This is one of the things that you only gain with experience. Guys ask all the time, how do you fight large battles? Well, the biggest mistake you can make here is just charging full speed ahead, right? We got to find out what our allies doing. We got to find out what forces we have left. We have to take inventory of what's going on here. So we're going to take defensive positions, regroup some units, right? We can split the 2nd. Let's see, I want the 2nd and 3rd, or 2nd and 8th to be cavalry. And this is what I mean, right? It takes 10, 15, 20 seconds to sort of coherently regain your wits here, take some defensive positions, hold fire, and prepare for the next wave, right? This is going to be a long battle. That's not us. That's the ally getting overly excited. They sounded like the guys when the stock market goes up 700 points, cheering as the bell rings at the end. And they're charging. That's suboptimal. Although now they're pulling back. So the enemy... Fortunately, we have a little bit of a chute here right between this rock, so I can defend them on one side with cavalry. These crossbowmen have a beautiful angle, and we can give them an infantry division to protect them. And let's see if the enemy will come right through this chute and just make themselves vulnerable. Of course, Baron York here loves stragglers, right? Kill some stragglers. What he's really looking forward to is cutting down some peasants. Hopefully some more caravans join us in this battle. I haven't seen, if people are joining this battle, you know, the reinforcement mod, I haven't seen it. I am probably going to turn that off, at least until I get a lot more certainty of its stability and feedback from you fellas. Of course, again, these battles will probably be stitched together. This is your chance to give me feedback. If you love the chaos and carnage of the reinforcement model, put it in the comments, right? Or like somebody else's comment that said, yes, use the reinforcement mod. It'll make it hellaciously difficult for me, but I know that's why some of you guys are here, right? You want to see incredibly difficult situations like this. Now, this does not look like a difficult situation, with one exception, right? The enemy is coming downhill on us, and we still have about half the forces on the field are our dipshit ally, and they're putting themselves in a terrible position. I mean, they look like General Bennigsen at the Battle of Friedland. They have backed themselves into a corner, nowhere to escape, nowhere to kite. They're lucky as fuck that we are on the flank here. They would all be crushed and annihilated already. Now the enemy's got cavalry divisions trying to sneak up on us. I see you motherfuckers. Yeah, come fucking sneak up on us. It reminds me of Dark Age of Camelot, this game I played like 20 years ago. I was the driver, typically, of a group of 8 or 16 other players, right? It was all PvP. And I became so adept at detecting enemy forces, and just my eyes were, you know, I was caffeinated, I was 25 years old, I was young, I was virile, and I could always see enemy forces coming, right? Not always, but almost always. And so we got the jump on other groups, so much so that I got cheating accusations, and it was like the greatest compliment they could give me, right? These guys saying, There's no way you saw us there. There's no way you guys would, where you always see us. And so they accused us of having radar, which I guess is like basically a cheat code or cheat, where you can see the other units. And every time I smiled a little bit, I'm like, yeah, you guys are getting beat. You keep complaining about cheat codes there. All right, so we're holding this left flank, but our allies being destroyed in the center, and I don't like our position anymore. There are bridges on this battle, and I'm starting to think about those as potential use in this battle here. The ally is immolating itself up there. Like I said, they just backed themselves into a ridge. I'm not willing to charge in here. There's 9,000 enemies in the middle. And it's, it's a little bit like that battle in the rain like an hour ago, where sometimes you just leave the allied forces to their fate. When they're doing stupid shit, you don't do it with them, right? You want to do your own intelligent tactics. We still got quite a bit of a health bar. I would say we have 350 troops left too, so we're still very much on our feet here. But once you play a game like Bannerlord and you understand the AI, and of course humans are no different than AI, especially players, as far as fair bit of predictability, right? And so just like Dark Age of Camelot here, the enemy here is starting to bore through our troops. You gain a level of understanding, adeptness at seeing situations and understanding. Like this, for example, it's time to leave. Our ally is all but destroyed over there. We've got this bridge to try and defend. We could put forces here in a line kind of on the way to the bridges, and what they will do is give us a little bit of cover fire as our troops are retreating here. This is going to be hopefully a tactical retreat and not a rout. But things are breaking down here pretty quickly, right? I wish I did this 30 seconds ago. I think we can grab a cav line here and play distractionary forces to bail out of here, but this is starting to look really grim. The power bar just changed, and I don't know if they got legitimate resources or use of the reinforcement system, but all of a sudden the enemy has way more troops than us. I think that said 750 infantry, and we have like, I don't know, we might have 350 troops still. Get over this ridge. We've got most of our divisions intact, even though a lot of them are battered. And we're going to try to hold this bridge here. This is going to be our last, we're going to make our last stand on this bridge. They are coming up. Santa hat motherfuckers coming up. the weakest looking troops always seem to have that deep voice. It looks like some little looter. I'll tear your limbs, right? They always have the James Earl Jones voice and shit like that. As our guys here, God, the crossbow is so slow. Get over the fucking bridge, boys. We're doing our best here to hold the forces. I do have some cavalry we can jam the bridge with here, but this is not an optimal spot for a bridge defense. I don't have much flanking fire here. We're going to use what we can here. We're going to try to slow the enemy to a trickle here as we push troops across that bridge and get into formation. Just trying to buy our guys a little bit of time here. Get off my fucking sergeants. God, look at that Zerg. They're just pouring across. All right, we're going to have to get some units jammed up in the bridge here. The 2nd Division has some cavalry, even though there's some archers mixed in. I got to have them join us here. I'm getting pushed, literally getting pushed by the crowd surge off the bridge. So let's shove them to the other side. They do have 800 infantry, 7-something. Fuck you, Western Empire bitches. We got to jam this gate in a hurry here. This is going to go south fast. Get up here. I might have to charge with archer divisions. We got to get some of these guys shooting, though. We're not going to win by blunt force here. Let's split some of these divisions and get some archers shooting on this ridge up here. 120, 400. We've got about 200 units to try to pull this off. At least we've got some decent-looking units in there. I see some sharpshooters, maybe, or hardened crossbow. Let's get another angle down here, and let's pick off some of these forces that are sort of sneaking by, right, that are assailing our forces down here. I'm starting, my hands are sweating. I fucking love close battles in Bannerlord, and this is close. Kill these fuckers. There's beautiful light. Man, this time pass mod is just brilliant for having realistic lighting effect. It's snowing, and I am in ecstasy here, right? A tight Bannerlord battle. Let's start getting some of these guys that are out of ammo split, and we can charge and or square with them. That 5th Corps is shooting, right? That's the only angle we have. There's a little ridge there where they can shoot down into the enemy crossing the bridge. And did you see the bridge? It was so full of enemies. Oh my God. There's like 1,000 units on the bridge. The death spam looks good, but how long can we hold it, right? There's a thin line of troops there. Come on, man. We've got this last division here we can charge. See them just standing there, you just charge, right? They're out of ammo. We're down to the wire here. And it's an all-out brawl to the death. That line is barely holding. They're starting to sneak through. Alright, let's do a little kiting here. If we can split these two divisions. The good thing is the enemy has weak troops, right? It's Santa hat motherfuckers and recruits. Woodrunners, die, Woodrunners. Just going to withhold narration here for a minute. I know some guys want to see this during gnarly spots. Let's just kill some fucks. God, our lines are thin. Oh, they're starting to rout. Come on, men. Some of them are starting to rout. Okay, we need everybody to get up here and charge. A situation where everybody hold fire, get up here. We need every sword up here. Force these guys out of here. If we can make them rout, we can win. Get up here. Fuck. They're starting to bail. Come on, man, we got this shit. Yeah. Oh man. God, I hope they don't turn, but you got to charge here, right? I saw a companion at the back. One of our archers is still alive. Kill them, shoot them. I think we got this. The enemy is fleeing. I mean, that was epic. Man. Thank goodness it's recording still. Every once in a while I'll look down after a battle like this and it's not recording. Something kicks it off. Now we get to cut down some peasants here, and Baron York, right, is all about cutting down peasants. I won't waste too much of your time here, but just we're building character, right? This guy's an absolute sadomasochist. He's like the character that Ralph Fiennes, or however you pronounce his name, played in the brilliant movie Shakespeare, Schindler's List, right? The Shakespeare movie about the Holocaust. He's an absolute fucking savage, fucking despisable person, but he's leading the Vlandians to victory, right? You can't complain about this victory if you're the Vlandian nobles. This guy might be pawn scum, just an obscure noble with questionable origins, questionable morals, and a violent streak. But man, you'll take a violent leader if you get battle victories like that, right? These guys would all have been captured, and instead, we've got a glorious victory here. Another time where we totally saved their asses. And now it looks like it's just time to chase down whatever last few divisions are here at the end of battle. But man, that was a fucking great battle. And again, I can't wait to share this with you fellas. I can tell you that for sure. The Patreon episodes. There are episodes of the early part of this campaign that are on Patreon. You can join that for as little as $2 a month. And there were some incredible battles in the early stages, you know, where we had 150 troops, 200 troops, and had just super tight battles. I won't tell you we won them all because we didn't, but there were some great battles like this. And to me, the tight battles like this, now the guys are appropriately falling on one knee after that victory, right? Like you would be exhilarated in real life if you pulled that off. 88 troops were all that survived. We have 17, it says. Oh, that's just our army. But we got like almost a 4-to-1 kill ratio. Of course, Baron York and the companions did some work. You can see Illicit, the huntress, survived the battle. Didn't do a lot of killing, but, you know, anytime you can get your companions to survive a battle like that, that is glorious. Get a little sip of caffeine here and roll on in this campaign. Take half of the Western Empire and Battanian forces prisoner. And we get a bunch of troops here, and because these armies are so battered, I think we're going to take all these troops. I will probably then give these troops to companions. That's going to be a thing throughout the campaign. We are going to play, our army will be almost exclusively Vlandian forces. We're not going to use Battanians, etc. However, it doesn't mean I won't pick them up and give them to either companions or other Vlandian forces here. So I think Druamore Castle looks like it's going to fall, but we're getting very close to the time warp stage here, right? We are going to do a time warp. That is imminent. In fact, I think I'll probably clean up just a little bit here, and the next thing you might see, we might be 10 years into the future. I'm not sure if I'm going to record any of the time warp, and again, we're doing that for two main reasons: to make the kingdoms more advanced, to make enemy lords more powerful, more advanced, but we're also doing that obviously so that we have our children come of age. I'm aware there are mods that make that happen, but I don't want to just, you know, have some kind of blip where it's like, you know, 1 year goes by and 20 years go by for them, right? I want to have this to be sort of authentic. Also, the enemy lords' children will come of age, and I think that's a really interesting development. So stand by for that. Stand by for the time warp. I appreciate you fellas. Of course, if you watched to this point, of course, I appreciate all of your support. Every single comment and like, every single comment I appreciate and read. Now, I don't reply to every comment. I just don't have the time, but I'll do my best, friends. So with all that said, of course, we're going to wrap this episode up. Please hit that like button, I guess, unless you didn't like it. And if you didn't like that last battle, you must be a Western Empire fan, because that was a fucking great battle. All right, friends, all that said, I will see you, friends, next time. All right, friends, welcome back again to another episode of Tactical Enlightenment. Our YouTube channel is dedicated to all things Bannerlord related, especially Advanced Battlefield Command and Tactics, and we are dedicated to this Vlandian campaign. This is going to be a very dynamic campaign, and today's episode is going to explain some of that functionality. So we'll give you a little walkthrough here of Baron York and his holdings. We took Revolt quite a while ago when Britannia made an invasion. We were given this city. And we also have Tirby Castle. Recently, we picked up another castle that we were part of the siege of, and we're essentially just going to give you a walkthrough of a status update of where things are before we blaze into the future. And I will talk about that in a minute. Now, you see, Lyanna has 6 children here. As you heard in the storyline, Lyanna's had 7 children, and that is going to play into the storyline, as you will soon see. We are going to have some contrived elements of this campaign, but we're also going to largely let the chips fall where they may. And what I mean by that is I'm not going to control the enemies, so to speak, right? We're not going to be altering things outside of our own realm, and our forces here are sieging some poor rebel town. We are going to use the Better Time mod to fast forward into the future. We are at peace right now with the Western Empire and the Britannians, and at war with the Aserai in the south. In fact, the Aserai have been rampaging, and we took Talavel Castle from them. Now, I was part of that siege, and so they voted us that castle there, but we're not going to defend it. We're not worried about it, right? We're going to let our nobles do their thing out there, and for all intents and purposes, Baron York is going to have a little, I was going to say retirement. It's going to be a rest period. Now, we continue to have a bit of a fog of war, a self-imposed fog of war, because I think it's strange that you can see the whole map in real time from your homeland. That would never happen in the actual medieval era. Of course, we're not getting voted for more cities. And we're going to have that for this campaign. So I'm not going to show you the diplomacy and the strengths and weaknesses of all of our enemies, only those that are nearby, that are at war, right? You can see here the Aserai are quite a bit stronger than us. The other kingdoms, I'm not going to show you how big their kingdoms are, and I'm not going to show you the rest of the map. I'm just going to show you the edges of the frontier, right? We're going to have that level of suspense. I think it's strange that you can see the whole map. I wish there was more of a fog of war, a la Age of Empires. And let's talk about these companions too. These guys and gals are going to age as well. We are going to go 12 to 15 years into the future, something like that. So this guy's a dead man, right? Or at least he has a high chance of dying of old age. We'll probably lose this scout crossbowman. Where's this gal? We did pick up a nice young-looking, good-looking scout. She will be alive still, right? So we will move on from some companions and have new ones perhaps. And obviously when we come back, probably the next episode, I will give you a status update of how things have gone during this time warp. Now, for the most part, Baron York is just going to sit and revolt. I'll explain that in a minute, too. We're not going to just sit here for 15 years. I'm going to come out of the castle, out of the city here a few times. We are going to engage in some elements that are part of the storyline, but many years are going to pass here, for the most part, without me actually participating in the gameplay. Now, in order to do that for the time warp, we're going to give... well, first we'll give the city some grain here so the city doesn't have garrison issues, but we're going to give Baron York a bunch of food, right? We're going to basically place it on his party. He's got plenty of money. Look at this. We got 34,000 grain at our capital city, and I have been accumulating that over the past 3 to 5 years. So we'll just dump a bunch of this food on here, and we're going to use these mods to advance this game, advance this campaign. I've been talking about this. It worked splendidly well for the Aserai campaign, and we're going to do so again here. There's multiple reasons why we're doing this, but one of them is just to make opposing kingdoms stronger, and a big one is so that our companions come of age, right? Our children come of age. It adds a lot of enrichment to the story, and it gives you a lot more dynamism. Now, I would not recommend this for a brand new player here, but for a more experienced player, I think this is a great way, especially combined with the StrengthenAI mod, to make the campaign more interesting, more difficult, more dynamic. Of course, we could easily conquer the map on our own, and I better show you the other leaders of the realms here. We'll do a little walkthrough of some of the leaders of the other kingdoms here. You can just sort of get a glance. So Lucan, 74, he's still alive. Again, though, I'm not going to show you their kingdoms, right? We're not going to show you the strength, for example, of the Northern Empire, the Battanians. Caladog is still up and kicking, and this worked splendidly well in the Aserai campaign. Speaking of the Aserai campaign, right, Unquid is still trucking along, and you can see our relationship has suffered there. I will tell you, and you can see some hints, that the Aserai are expanding. You can actually see them taking castles in some of the info, right? They've taken such and such castle prisoner. So we're getting little notes sort of simulated from couriers coming in and saying, hey, this happened, this person died. But it took something like 19 days for a letter to go from Vienna to Paris. In the medieval era, you should never be able to tell exactly what's happening on the frontier. And for this campaign, I'm going to self-inflict that on us, on you guys, so that there's a level of suspense. I don't want you guys to know if such and such kingdom has wildly expanded at the expense of their neighbors. I want that to be an element of mystery. Now, our money situation is great. You can see our workshops are highly profitable. We've got some tribute coming in, some tribute going out. And until a second ago, for some reason, our garrison expenses just went up a lot. We're doing just fine for money. Of course, we've accumulated a bunch of loot. Hey, we're daring, I guess. That must be from all the battles we've interfered with. We've gained the daring trait. We can pair that with some of his cruel and other negative traits. So away we go here. Now, this is not the fastest speed. Using the what's it called, the better time mod, I think you can actually do 100x speed or something insane like that, and it's virtually unwatchable. I'm not going to take you through 2 hours of this, right? We're probably going to spend an hour and a half to 2 hours of this, and part of the reason is I'm not going to sit here for 2 hours. I'm simply going to do chores and run errands while the world speeds by. You can see our Vlandian forces out there are autonomously doing their thing. In fact, they're helping defend our little castle down there or actually I guess they're sieging Verksand. But basically the world is going to cruise right along, and Baron York can just hang out at Rovalt. Again, we're going to do this in combination with the StrengthenAI mod, and I'm going to be using the StrengthenAI mod to make this game harder. I've mentioned this plenty of times before, but I'll cover it here in case somebody hasn't seen all the episodes. We're going to use essentially a stared increase of the StrengthenAI mod to power the enemy nobles, to make them stronger, to give them more EXP. That way, they rise in power commensurate with the strength of Baron York and the other companions that are in our army, our kingdom. Their kingdoms will also get stronger. So right now they're gaining a good amount of EXP in all their skills per day. Eventually, yeah, see, that's almost hard for me to watch. We will not subject you to too much of that. That is me doing the ultra fast speed. And in fact, let's kill the volume here so it's not just totally jarring for you fellas. Where the days are whizzing by, and I think this is either 28 speed or 32 speed or something like that. This is, in the short term, how I can make a lot of time pass, and it's a great mod to use if you want to use this in your own campaign. So things are going to change. People are going to die. Rulers are going to be replaced. Some kingdoms might be gone when we come back. However, I will tell you that I have a little bit of a storyline element written in. We're not going to come back in the next episode 20 years into the future because Baron York is not fully retired. He's not quite done with some of his escapades, as you will see. Of course, you're going to have to stay tuned to the campaign to see more on that. most of this campaign is going to be organic, uncontrolled. However, I have a few storyline elements where I'm going to interfere sort of with the natural processes. And what I mean by that is Baron York is going to be out there rampaging and robbing and rapine and all the other horrific shit that a tyrannical lord like Baron York would engage in. So that said, of course, if you're interested in a very epic, dynamic campaign, you're in the right place. The Aserai campaign went off better than I expected, and so far this Vlandian campaign has been amazing, right? We've had close battles, we've had interesting battles, and the best is yet to come. The kingdoms out there are getting bigger. The enemy lords like Caladog and their are having children, and that's going to be an interesting element. Baron York's children are going to come of age. And of course, if you've watched any of this series, you know that he's going to exile his children, right? So there's going to be some elements where I'm controlling the storyline. That's what a YouTube content creator does, because you don't want to watch just an ordinary campaign. There's 1,000 playthroughs of Bannerlord on YouTube. Many of them are very high quality. This is my own niche and way of making things really interesting. Having titanic epic battles, we've sort of cornered the market on gigantic epic cinematic battles. And I really enjoy that part combined with tactics. So the years are blazing by here. Hopefully nobody's had a seizure and sued my tiny channel. I don't have any money. Don't sue me. And I think that's about as much as I want to cover here, right? Things are happening out there in the world. We're going to come back. There's going to be a little break in the time in this time machine passing through the years. But just know this campaign is about to shift gears, right? We're about to shift to hard mode. Things are going to get gnarly. The storyline is going to get very dynamic. And hopefully this campaign is worthwhile for you to watch. So with all that said, I'm gonna wrap this episode up. Of course, if you want to see more from the channel, you want to subscribe. I appreciate all you subscribers. If you hit notifications every couple, maybe 2 or 3 episodes a week, we will have more from this Vlandian campaign. That way you know when new episodes come out. Please leave any comments, criticisms, etc. in the comments box. With all that said, and please hit that like button. It does a lot of wonders for the channel, brings more people here so that they can experience this as well. With all that said, friends, I appreciate you guys, and I will see you, friends, next time.